Overnight, the sky above Jerusalem has been lit up by explosions as Israel intercepts projectiles launched by Iran. Joining us from that city is the British Colonel Richard Kemp. Richard, thank you for joining us on GB News. Could I put this point to you? With about 99% of the projectiles shot down, has this not, in effect, been a demonstration not of Iranian strength, but of impotence?
That's exactly what it is. I think it shows both the weakness of Iran, despite their much kind of signalled plans to give severe punishment to Israel. It shows their weakness, their inability to do that by this means anyway, and it also shows the comparable strength of Israel, particularly when it's supported, as it was last night, by its allies from the UK, the US, France, and also some Arab countries who flew combat planes to intercept some of the missiles. So yes, it is a demonstration of Iran's weakness, but we shouldn't at the same time consider that that doesn't mean Iran doesn't present a threat. Let's not forget that Iran is on the cusp of building a nuclear bomb and gaining nuclear capability, which, if it was to use that either on the end of a missile that did go through, or indeed in some other delivery form, then that would be potentially devastating for whatever target it was delivered at. Plus, of course, they've got proxies all around the region, including ringing Israel with the explicit intention of attacking Israel from every direction. And then they have sleeper cells, I suppose you could call it, in countries around Europe and around the world to carry out terrorist attacks against us if necessary. Probably the greatest power they've got outside of Iran itself is 150,000 missiles deployed in Lebanon pointing at Israel. Some have been fired, but most are there as a deterrent against an Israeli attack against Iran, or indeed a US attack against Iran. So this means has not worked for Iran, and it's deeply embarrassing for them, I'm sure.
Richard,
but they have other strings to their bow.
Richard, a second point, if I may, and quite briefly, if you would. But Iran seems to have achieved something which seemed politically impossible, which is to unify President Biden and Mr. Netanyahu, who had been at loggerheads. But now, of course, the United States is bound to say that it is full square with Israel.
Well, I think President Biden's strategic priority is to win the US general election. That's what he's interested in. That's why he's been trying to persuade Israel to ratchet down its campaign in Gaza. He's been piling the pressure on Israel to do that, because he thinks that the longer that goes on, the more violent it gets, the more damaging it's going to be in his electoral campaign. And that's why he also gave warnings to Iran and said he would be standing cast iron beside Israel in this, because he wanted that. He didn't want this conflict to occur. And again, it's for electoral reasons as much as anything else. And then now he's switched effectively to trying to pressure Israel to just call this a win and take it on the chin rather than carry out some form of retaliation.
Thank you very much indeed. Colonel Richard Kemp in Jerusalem. Please stay safe.